All right, welcome to this Q&A. Again, want to welcome to this Q&A. Still a bunch of questions need to deal with. One, we spoke, I guess, last week, no-hide questions, way no-hides are viewed, or way non-Jews are viewed. One question was machlokes, disagreements in the Gemara, disagreements between rabbis. It seems that rabbis disagree on pretty much everything. I don't know, plenty of things that we do agree on. But okay, yeah, there is disagreement, right? There definitely is disagreement. There are a lot of reasons why there is disagreement, but maybe we'll hit some of them. To the point that it feels like they're guessing. Now, anyone who's ever learned, that's really not the case, right? Totally not the case. I'll explain why. Rather guessing than knowing, right? So we'll deal with that also. Even historical events in Genesis, also full of contradictions. One rabbi says Yaakov went to this place, someone said he went somewhere else. He did, he didn't. Right? Now, one of them must be wrong. If they're wrong, why should I listen to them? Good. Right? We'll start with that. Right? We'll start with that. So, the fact that, throughout the ages, after the Torah is given, after a certain amount of time afterwards, things became less clear. Not only things became less clear, the reason they became less clear is because of destruction, assimilation, and exile. Right? So the way it works is that if you're, it's not a question what we have today, is the same Torah that we had before, right? That's not the question. Right? You'd say it's became a telephone, okay. Maybe, but on the 15th of Nisan, you go anywhere in the world on Passover, there are going to be 4 cups of wine, cup for Elijah. There's going to be 3 matzahs, bitter herbs, or herbs, depending where you're from, right? And there's going to be charoset, right? So you have one event, but systematically everyone more or less doing the same thing on that day, right? Again, more or less, but I'm saying within So, yeah, there are disagreements. Okay, right? Even if there are disagreements, and the reason they put all the disagreements in is, you want to be all inclusive, but at the same time, even if we don't hold according to certain opinions, that really doesn't matter, right? It really doesn't matter. The point is you could maybe rely on certain opinions if you had to. Maybe, if you're going to be lenient or whatever, maybe you can rely on this opinion under certain circumstances. It's not just, well, you have all these different opinions, it doesn't matter. Right? First of all, that's for sure not true. Second of all, the misassumption is they're guessing rather than knowing. If anyone ever learns any of the commentaries, whatever they said, they aren't guessing. Right? Amar Rav Yehuda Amar Rav, said Rabbi Yehuda in the name of Rav. This statement, that statement, another statement. Does that sound like, well, I think he said this? Doesn't say that. Doesn't, the statements that, that the Talmud uses, the Midrash uses, they aren't guesses. They'll say, well, I think maybe I heard him. Maybe I think I heard this. No, he heard it. Now, you may disagree with it. You may say I have a source against that. How could he have said that? He said something else like this over here. Or someone else said something to contradict it. Okay, but I'm not guessing. That's for sure not guessing. Right? They made a statement, a definitive statement. Right? Let's make very clear. They made a definitive statement, whatever that statement is. Right? But that statement is definitive. 100% it's definitive. They're like, oh, I just thought this. Oh, maybe he thought that. Maybe, I don't know, they were eating the same hallucinogenic mushroom in the desert. Maybe. That's not definitive. The statement that they make is definitive, 100%. Right? Don't make a mistake and say, oh, it's not definitive. They're not guessing. That's what they held. Right? We've been in exile more than 2,000 years. So, yeah, there were questions. Did he really hold that? Did he really say that? Because I have a contradiction. I have another source to tell me. Right? So that's not like, oh, he's guessing. It's for sure not guessing. The question is the statement true? Do we hold like that? Is there anyone else that says anything against it? And if no one says anything against it, very good. Maybe that's what the law should be. We're not guessing. For sure not guessing. They knew what they were saying. The only question is, if there's a contradiction against it, how could he have said it? Oh, that's a different question. That's a totally different question. We're not guessing. Right? When they make statements, it's, the question was, oh, they're guessing rather than knowing. No, they knew what they said. They knew exactly what they held. Now, the question is that really what it means? Is that the way we hold? You could ask the question, how could he say this? We know something else over here, or some other contradictory evidence. Or they say, how can you say that? Or I have this, or I have that. To answer it. Right? You see that? Every time, Rabbi Yochanan made a statement, Reish Lakish had like all these questions on him. Yeah, student had all these questions. You think Rabbi Yochanan didn't know what he's talking about? He's just like fishing for, I don't know, fishing for twigs? He's like making it up as he goes along? I don't think so. Pretty sure that's not the case. He knew what he said. There are times where the Gemara will say, did he really say it? Right? How could he have said it? We have an obvious, contradiction here or something else. Right? How could someone, the Gemara says a number of times, how could this wise person say something like this? Because of obvious questions. Now you're going to say the person didn't know what they were talking about? They're guessing? They're fishing? I don't think so. They held what they held. Right? Now, if someone disproved them, they disproved them. Okay. Right? That's learning. That's not guessing. That's for sure not guessing. Now, historical events. Oh, that's a good question. Right? You got a lot of things according to the Torah in Genesis. Right? In Genesis, different opinions about a lot of things. When you're going that far back, is everything 100% clear cut? There are also a lot of questions. You look at Lot, for instance, not wouldn't call him the most pious of people. When he brings in the guests that the people of Sodom want to abuse, what day was it? Anyone know what day it was? It's Passover. Gave matzahs to eat. Yeah, gave these angels matzah to eat. So question, can an angel eat matzah? Okay. Right? Even though disguised as a person, very good. Whatever it is. There are a lot of things going on. I mean, Genesis is the hardest book to learn. One of the hardest books to learn. Because there are a lot of questions. Was Avraham, Yitzhak, Yaakov, were they Jews? Or were there Noahites? If they're Jews, I got a lot of questions. A lot of questions. Yaakov married to two sisters. Big question. If he held the Torah, he can't be married to two sisters. Yeah, Yehuda can't be with Tamar. Right? Some say he lived with her afterwards. Yeah, he stayed with her afterwards. How can he do that? That's his daughter-in-law. That's forbidden. If he's a Jew, I got a problem. Right? So what happened? That's a good question. That's a very good question. But you know what? Practically speaking, whether there are 100 different opinions, ask my Rabbi the following question. Yeah, there was a question. The Torah says that Noach was married to Naamah. right? Na'ama literally means like pleasant, nice, like nice acts, pleasant. Yeah. One of the commentaries says Na'ama was married to the king of the Shindalits, king of the demons. Yeah, it could be there's a medrash like that. I don't know. One of the commentaries brings it down. So as my Rabbi, very good. So what is it? Right? Who was she? Was she married to the king of the demons? Or was she married to Noah? Or did she live long enough? Could have been both. In theory, could have been both. Married to Noah and then eventually married, king of the demons. We don't know how long she lived. I don't know how long she lived. Noah lived over 600 years, right? Could be could be maybe she was alive after him. And she ended up marrying the king of the demons. Let's say. Right? Let's say. So I asked him, what is it? I said, who's right? And he smiled. That's it. He smiled. Can you give me an answer? There are different opinions. It's not clear. Right? It's not clear. Now, is that direct contradiction? No. It's not a direct contradiction. Even though, you could say it is. Right? Because the Torah states clear that now, Nama was married to him. Okay. But then they ask, okay, if she was married to him, what about I have another source that says differently? Okay. So what does that prove? There are a lot of contradictions, potential contradictions. Some of them have to be answered up. You can have midrashim that contradict. Right? That's not a question. Why? Because even if a medrash contradicts another medrash, you can have it. You try to look for an answer. Why they shouldn't contradict. Let's say. But practically speaking, according to Jewish law, do we ever poskin, do we ever go according to Jewish law like a medrash? Never. Never. Anyone who tells you we poskin like a medrash don't know nothing. Know nothing about Torah. You can have a contradiction. Right? Now, when you have contradictions in Gemara, it's a different thing. These are stronger statements than in the Medrash. Medrash didn't make it in the Talmud. Okay. So even if I have contradictions, I got to work them out. Not only do I have to work them out, I have to know, practically speaking, after the fact, what do we do? You'll say, some say like this, some say like that. Okay, but there's a hierarchy. There's a hierarchy of how we hold. Now, sometimes, even if we hold according to one opinion, what if I did this or that? Really, that's the way you should hold. But what if you didn't? What if you didn't? What's the halacha? Depends. Maybe you fulfill your obligation, maybe you didn't. Okay. But again, the bottom line is, when it's brought down, there's hierarchy how we hold and what we're supposed to do. Practically speaking, in the law, in the book of Genesis, I got 3 mitzvahs in the entire book. True or vul, be fruitful and multiply. Gita nosha, you're not allowed to eat from the sciatic nerve. And bris milah, circumcision. Now, those mitzvahs are given again. They're going to be repeated for the sole reason that this is before the giving of the Torah. Right? It was given before, these commands were given before the Torah. Very good. So in the entire book, I have 3 mitzvahs. 3 mitzvahs in the entire book. So when it comes to mitzvahs in Jewish law, these have to be clarified. Can't have contradictions. You got to work out the contradictions. You got to know what to do practically. Right? So that's by Jewish law. Now, what about the stories? It's not just a history book over here. It's to understand different things from them and what we learn from them. Yeah. Now, if there are different opinions, you're right. One opinion is going to be right, one's going to be wrong. Right? In Jewish law, same thing. If we hold one way, we don't hold the other. One opinion we don't hold by. Okay. It's a valid opinion. Doesn't mean they're fishing. Doesn't mean they're guessing. It's a valid opinion. We just don't hold that way. Okay. So again, you could ask, so why is it there? Good, right? But the valid opinion. 100% a valid opinion. Now, if one rabbi says, no, Yaakov did this, and no, he did that, they're different opinions. They're different opinions going back 5,000 years. Is it, 5,000 years down the line, is it going to be clear what exactly happened? You'll say it should be. Very good. But we see, after being in the desert for 40 years, a lot of things need to be clarified. 100% needed to be clarified. But at the end of the day, I'll ask the following question. Yaakov did X. Okay. If he held by the Torah, how could he have done it? Good. It's one question. But if he went to one place, was he really there? Maybe it just says he was nearby. He wasn't fully there. Yeah? That's not a contradiction. It's a question of understanding. It's a question of understanding what the words mean and what the text means. They're not denying the fact that, he was in a place. That, in Christianity, that you got a problem. Because here it says JC is either in one place or another. It can't be in both. Right? So, I'll give an example. The Torah says that the Garden of Eden is in the east. Rather than the east. Well, where exactly? Or they went to the eastern part of the garden. Where is that exactly? In the middle? To the right? To the left? Torah doesn't tell me. Torah doesn't tell me. It's not clear. Rashi may have his opinion. The Rabbi may have his opinion. Even Ezra might have another opinion. They all may be valid. You gotta say, how can they all be valid? Only one opinion can be right. But how do we know which opinion is exactly right? When it comes to something more esoteric, no one's going to want to hear this, but when it comes to something more esoteric that has nothing to do with Jewish law, what's the difference? What's the difference if there's a difference of opinion? It just means it's not clear. Totally not clear. There are certain things you can't go against. Let's make that clear. There are certain principles within Torah you can't go against. You got to be within the parameters of Torah. Right? God says at the beginning, God created, says, Genesis chapter 1, verse 1. God created the heaven and the earth. Very good. Yeah. How did he create the heaven and the earth? Anybody know? One opinion, very strong opinion, is he created it, as we'll say in Latin, ex nihilo, something from nothing. God can create something from nothing. God said, let there be light, there was light. What light are we talking about? What light are we talking about? You'll tell me, regular light. How can it be regular light? I'll ask you, it can't be regular light. How do I know? Because the sun wasn't created till day 4. The sun was not created. Very good. Right? It wasn't created. So what type of light are we talking about? So Rashi says, talking about the Ein Sof, infinite light, spiritual light for the righteous in the world to come. Yeah? You're going to have to come up with some explanation. Right? So you say, what's the right explanation? I don't really know what the right explanation is. Kabbalah has a different explanation. Yeah? God took the Aleph base and looked in the world and created the world. Very good. You know what that means? Do we know exactly what that means? He created the heaven and the earth. Okay, so according to Kabbalah, has its answer. According to what we see, very hard to understand. Yeah? So there be different explanations within Torah. Very good. Let me ask you, does it have any relevance to our lives? Unless the person's a heretic, it has no relevance. You can have different opinions. That's not a contradiction. No pun intended. It's not a contradiction. The fact is not clear. It's not clear. There are deeper things going on, right? So that leads to the whole question: how do you deal with Kabbalah? Right? Because Kabbalah comes to answer more esoteric things. It's not a face value. And there are a lot more things going on. A lot more things going on. So, do we look at everything according to Kabbalah? No. Do we look at most things according to Kabbalah? No. You're right, there'll be contradictions. So which one is right? Does it, in this case, does it matter? The opinions can be valid. Some may be more valid than others. Okay. But is it clear exactly what it is? No. Genesis chapter 1, verse 1, God created the heaven and the earth. God is infinite. No one can understand God's essence. Can we understand how God can create the heaven and the earth? From where? Where did he create it from? Somebody use the alphabet, somebody use words in his breath. That doesn't mean anything. Those words mean nothing to me. They shouldn't mean anything to anyone else. Why do I say that? Because how are you going to explain that? God has words? Can God speak? God can't speak. He can't speak. Doesn't have a mouth. God's infinite being. Yeah. His breath. Yeah, what does that mean? People are going to come up with different explanations. Right? Someone's going to say certain letters, certain aspects are changed together. Great. You have any idea what that means? No offense. You don't have any idea what that means. Nobody. Unless you're really very steeped in Kabbalah is going to understand what that means. Take it a step further. Exodus chapter 25, verse 8. God says, I want to dwell amongst the Jewish people. Right? I want to dwell amongst you. How can that be? God's infinite. How are you going to put God in a box? So according to Kabbalah, there's an answer. It's called Tzimtzum. There's an answer. But God constricts himself, brings him down to this world. Practically speaking, is that easy to understand? No. It's not easy to understand. There are other opinions how God can do that, but that's a basic question. That 100% is a basic question. I don't think there's any question. It's a basic question. Good. So is there going to be one answer that fits all? I don't think so. Different levels. Even if we understand simple explanation, Kabbalah could explain it totally differently. So now, the end of that part of the question is, okay, if they're wrong on this topic, why should I respect them? Why should I trust what the rest of the things they say? Why not? God gives them the ability to interpret. When it comes to Jewish law, we got to know what to do practically. Things that are not going according to Jewish law, okay, there are different opinions. Is there one opinion, one size fits all for that? No. Because it's very unclear. Extremely unclear. And at the end of the day, even if there's a difference of opinion, it doesn't matter. Because it doesn't have any practical ramifications. Things that have practical ramifications, we have to figure out. That for sure we have to figure out. Because you have to know what to do. Torah says you got to make frontlets between your eyes. The word frontlet, totafot, it's not even a Hebrew word. And there are tens of thousands of halachas of tefillin. Yeah? So you got a different opinion. Very simple. Difference of opinion. Rashi Rabbeinu Tam, his grandson. Where exactly you put the parchments in the tefillin. In which way, in which order. Yeah? So some people wear both. They'll wear tefillin of Rashi, for most of the prayers, and then they'll put on Rabbeinu Tam afterwards. Yeah, they'll say Shema, whatever. They'll put on Rabbeinu Tam afterwards, fill their obligation that way also. Do most people do that? No. But according to wanting to fill your obligation, according to everybody, right, there are people that will have to fill in the Rabbeinu Tam. Very good. So who's right? I'll tell you who's right. Rashi's right. How do we know? Because that everybody goes according to Rashi. Right? Everyone goes according to Rashi, the order and whatever will be according to him. You say maybe Chabad's got their different thing, other Hasidim have their different thing. For the most part, we go according to Rashi. Nothing to talk about. Yeah? But that's clear cut. There are plenty of things in Jewish law that are clear cut. Okay, when you break down the details, there could be differences. Okay. But practically speaking, we have a way to answer. We have a way to come to what the answer is going to be and what we're going to do. And something more esoteric, you're not going to get there. You read about it, someone will say like this, someone will say like that. How do I know who's right? Good question. We don't. But you have to be within Jewish law, 70 faces to Torah. You have to be within Torah, within parameters. So once you're within parameters, okay, let's see. Maybe this makes more sense, maybe this makes less sense. Yeah. But practically speaking, there shouldn't be any ramifications. Why? Because that's esoteric. That's not a contradiction. Totally not a contradiction. All it means is, yeah, it's something that we're not sure on. Right? We're not sure. That's okay. We can have different opinions within the realm of Torah. But if it's not within the realm of Torah, someone can say, I have my opinion. So who cares your opinion? Nobody cares about your opinion. No one cares about my opinion. It's not going to matter. It's not going to be relevant at all. But when it comes to Jewish law is different. Jewish law has to be different. Why does Jewish law have to be different? Because you have to know practically what to do. And we have hierarchy, what to do and how to hold. Right? So that I would say on that. Now there's a question here, someone someone asked, which is actually part of another question, which is good because I'll deal with both. The question that someone had asked me is, rabbis don't care about you if you're a non-Jew, right? That's what someone asked here also, right? A very similar thing. It's very hard to convert. No one wants to deal with me. How am I ever going to get married? Blah, 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 right? You're just a dirty goy for many people. Okay, that's sad. Bottom line, people have to be dealt with. They shouldn't be blown off. I heard this, someone said, when it comes to Noahites, in general, and the rabbis this, and it's all their fault, and they would give us a time and date. That's a problem. That, I agree, is a problem. And if they don't know what to do with them, they say, convert. I don't want to convert. I don't have to convert. Very good. Right? So they don't want to deal with them. Right? They don't want to deal with them. So I would say, put them in contact with someone that knows what they're doing. Don't just blow them off. That's a problem. I would agree. I would definitely agree. But the person went further. They admit that plenty of Jews have gone off. Okay. Plenty of Jews don't know anything about Judaism. You're right. They're not obligated to draw you closer. Bingo. Haven't I said this for like 1,000 times? If I had, if I had 5 non-Jews wanted to learn about what the Noahide laws are, yeah, and I had a Jew I could work with, yeah, who am I going to take first? You're going to say 5 non-Jews. Why? Why would I take 5 non-Jews? It's not my obligation. My obligation is to work with Jews. That's my obligation. Yeah. We only learn out the obligation because Jews are intertwined. Kol Yisrael Ravim said, all Jews are intertwined. Very good. So why is it my mitzvah to draw someone closer? You say, but if they come to you, they want to learn Torah, you got to deal with them. Good. I agree. 100%. But you know how many Jews out there don't know anything? That's Chabad's job. That's what Chabad does. They work with non-Jews. Sorry, they work with Jews that don't know anything about Torah. That is their thing. They educate Jews that don't know anything about Judaism. Good. They'll also teach non-Jews, right? But what's the focus? What in the world is the focus? You know what the focus is? We're going to look out for our own first. Anybody would do that. You go say, oh, that's racist. Okay. Yeah. Then people will cop an attitude and say, but you're the chosen nation. Good. So who says I have to work with non-Jews? I happen to, but who says you have to? If a non-Jew comes and says, I want to learn, good. There's a mitzvah to teach them. 100%. If a non-Jew and a Jew come together, who gets first priority? You can say it's racist. You can say whatever you want. Doesn't matter. Right? It's irrelevant. Jews are going to come first. Period. Jews are going to come first. That's just the way it is. Now, you're not obligated to bring them closer. You're right. I am not obligated. A Jew is not obligated to work with non-Jews. 100%. We're not obligated to bring them closer to their mitzvahs. 100%. 100% true. Okay. Say it's not fair. It's not a question of being fair here. I don't have an obligation. Now, if someone comes, let's clarify. If somebody comes, they want to be educated, you have to help them. 100%. If you don't know how to help them, send them to someone who can. Do not blow them off. That is not a good idea. That gives us a bad name. That I agree. So then the person says, well, if you ask rabbis questions as a non-Jew, they give you short answers and move on. Why do you think they do that? Why in the world do you think they do that? Because they're racist, they hate non-Jews. That's not the issue. Why do they do that? What's the simple answer? The simple answer is, we'll answer you. Okay. You're going to take up my time when I can work with Jews? That's the answer. 100% that's the answer. Because they think you're not going to believe in Judaism anyway. And even if you do, you eventually find an excuse to leave. Again, if I answer questions of non-Jews, do I care if they convert? No. We're not looking for converts. We're not interested in converts. Converts giving the Jewish people a bad name throughout the millennium. Right? It doesn't matter. We're not interested they should convert. You want to convert? Good. So you want to convert. Okay. And if you don't want to convert? Yeah. So what? So you don't have to convert. Right? Oh, you're not going to believe in Judaism anyway. You got to believe God. Let's keep this in mind. A non-Jew, the Rambam says very clear, most non-Jews are not aware of this. You want to take on the Noahide laws? You want to be a good Noahide? Very good. You have to say or believe that God gave the Torah to the Jewish people. And the fact that God gave the Torah to the Jewish people means that you got to keep the Noahide laws because God spoke to Moses on Mount Sinai and passed it down to us. Now, how many non-Jews keep the Noahide laws based on that? They should. An obligation to. Right? The Rambam says it's not just because you came up with these ideas that are universal and you're keeping it, that doesn't help. You got to believe God gave the Torah to the Jewish people, period. Right? So, do we care if non-Jews convert? No. Are we interested that non-Jews should convert? No. We don't proselytize. We're not interested. It doesn't matter if a person converts or not. If they do, and they want to, and they meet the criteria, very good. They should be helped. I agree, but this is, again, a misnomer. You're not going to believe Judaism anyway. And if you do, you eventually find an excuse to leave. That's not the point. That is totally not the point. Do you have an obligation? Any non-Jew out there have an obligation to convert? No. There's no obligation whatsoever to convert, period. Right? So I'm going to think, oh, non-Jew's going to come. They're eventually going to leave. Why should I teach them anyway? No. That's not the point. That's totally not the point. If they come, they want to learn, good, they should learn. You want to convert, good, so you have to learn a lot more. Okay. I care, you got to leave, you're not going to leave. Right? If you convert, you want to make sure, or to the best of your ability, you want to make sure they're not going to go off. And the rabbinical court takes unbelievable responsibility because they're putting their name on the dotted line. And they're saying this person's a valid Jew. But what happens sometime down the line, that Jew goes off. That convert goes off. Could it happen? Could happen. It could happen. For any number of reasons. Doesn't matter. Could happen. Who gets responsibility for them going off? It's a proper conversion. 100% a proper conversion. Who gets responsibility for them going off? The Beis Din. The rabbinical court gets the good for them and the bad for them. So it's a huge responsibility. So people say it shouldn't be that hard, this and that. They're taking huge responsibility. Right? So, honestly, so the person says, they're kind of right. I'm not judging. Okay. Yeah, they're not judging. Very good. Because a lot of people flake out. Less than 20% actually finish the process of conversion. Good. Right? There are a number of reasons why that's not the point. But this is 100% not the point. It's not, we believe you got to leave Judaism anyway. We don't care if you convert or not. You want to convert? Good. You don't want to convert? Also good. You can stay in Ohio. I can keep you busy for the next 250 years if I'd live that long. Right? You're going to say, we're not obligated to draw you close. You're right. And I've said it 100 times. I'll say it 1,000 times. That's not our mitzvah. And it's not a non-Jew's mitzvah to bring them close either. They want to, they can. They don't have a mitzvah to. Right? But it says we're the chosen people. God chose us. We chose him. We have a special relationship. I have 100% more of an obligation to work with Jews and non-Jews. That's the way it is. But if someone says, listen, I want to learn, I don't want to convert, there's a mitzvah to help them, they should not be blown off. I agree. I definitely agree. And if you're going to blow them off, send them to someone that can educate them. That's what they should do. Gives us a bad name. Right? 100%. Right? So the question is, so that just emphasizes the question, right? But the question here, somebody asks, it's hard to convert where they are. Very good. You're just a dirty goy for many people. So don't. Right? People say, well, I'm looked at as a second-class citizen. Maybe. I'm not saying it's right. Maybe that's how some people look at it. Maybe some people would never invite you for Shabbos. Maybe some people would never want you as, as a son-in-law or daughter-in-law. Maybe. Is that part of the reality? Part of the reality. Could happen. Nobody says anyone's got an obligation to convert. I get it. It's frustrating. Always got to prove yourself, right? Because people flake out. A lot of people flake out. So people come a dime a dozen. Yeah, I'm so interested in this and that, and then nothing happens. They just go out of their mind. Something happens. I'm not saying everybody. I'm saying some people just they flake out. So if they flake out, I'm not saying everybody, but if a lot of people end up flaking out, you're wasting time. Isn't it a waste of time? Why should I help? You're going to flake out anyway, right? You're going to be part of that 80% who'll flake out. So I'm putting all this effort in and you're going to go by the wayside. So isn't it better as you work with Jews and non-Jews? Practically speaking, why waste time? 80% are not going to stick. That's not unreasonable. That's not being racist by any stretch. It's practical. But a person has to understand also. A rabbi of a synagogue, he's got a lot of responsibilities. One of the main responsibilities is making money because the synagogue probably won't pay him as much. So he has to have multiple jobs. Okay. And he's got multiple responsibilities. People come in, marriage counseling, people come in with questions, how to deal with this, how to deal with that. They're busy. I'm not even talking about during the holidays. They're busy, genuinely. I'm not saying a person deserves to be blown off 100 times just to test them. I'm not saying that. They're genuinely busy. 100%. You gotta cut people a little bit of slack. I'm not saying where they do things, that are egregious and then just blowing people off to test them. I'm not talking about that. That could be just a test for them. Okay. You have to have a very strong backbone here. If you don't have a very strong backbone, you will never finish the process. It'll never happen. Right? Because you're always going to complain. This isn't good enough. That's not good enough. No, help me. People should be helped. I agree. But practically speaking, what happens? I can tell you from experience what happens. A lot of people say, yeah, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. They're all fired up, and what happens? They don't pull the trigger. They don't do enough what they're supposed to do. It happens all the time. All the time, for a million different reasons. And they may all be valid reasons. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. If people have the perception, let's make very clear. If people have the perception looking down on people that are fighting for their lives spiritually and won't help them and won't accept them, that's a problem. That is a problem. I agree. That shouldn't be done. And if you're not going to deal with them, give them over to someone who can. Right? This is the reality. Right? I'm not saying it's good. This is the reality. Right? Is a person who wants to convert, ends up converting. How easy is it going to be for them to get married? Not going to be so easy. While tshuva has also difficulties. Someone who grew up as a secular Jew will also have difficulties. Not to say no, because they were born Jewish. Okay. But a person has to realize going in, there are obstacles. I'm not saying it has to be impossible. There will be obstacles. Right? Sometimes, even if a person does convert, they'll think, well, I have to keep proving myself. That might be the case. Again, I'm not saying I agree with it. That still may be the case. Okay. But a person has to come in with open eyes. If that's the reality, you don't want to do it, so don't do it. Stay as a non-Jew. Don't do it. You say that's worse. They look at me even worse. No one says you have to be part of this process. We hold you got to do what a non-Jew has to do. as abiding by the Noahide laws. And there are repercussions. 100%, there are repercussions either way. So if a person wants to convert, great. Right? They don't want to convert, great. They don't have to. And the community will deal with them as the community does. I'm not saying what the community does is right necessarily. In all cases. And they may do things they shouldn't do. Okay. So now you got to make a choice. Now you got to make a choice. And it's a very simple choice. Either you're in it for the long haul, no matter what happens. Right? You're in it for the long haul. And you understand these things could happen. 100% could happen. Or you say, you know what? I'm not going to deal with this. You're going to say, I don't have to put up with this. I'm a human being. I deserve to be treated respectfully, this and that. They're not treating me respectfully, so I'll just go on my own, do my own thing. I'll be annoying. Okay. No one says you have an obligation to convert. Should the process be better? Should people be more open? Yes. Should they be worked with and helped? Yes. But not at the expense of teaching Jews. That's a big mistake. But I'm much more religious than most Jews. That doesn't matter. You know what they say, American Express membership has privileges. Nah, 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 nah. So a person was born a Jew, you're right. So they have more obligations. I had someone caught up an attitude, I mentioned this before, right? Somebody said, my kids get up so early and they pray and they do this and they can't move into a Jewish community. So they said, we told the basic we'll do like this, go there for Shabbos, with it, and they rejected them, but they accepted other people, whatever it is. I didn't get involved. Not me for to get involved. But they said, we're doing so many more things than Jews are, and look at how many gay people there are in Tel Aviv. Ma Kesher. What in the world does that have to do with anything? So they're born Jews, giving Jewish people a bad name, causing all kinds of problems in the land of Israel and everywhere else in the world. Doing what they're doing, but I'm not even going to go into that. So they give us a bad name. What does it have to do with the process of conversion? What does it have to do with? They're copying out. I get it. They're angry. They're upset. They're not taken seriously for whatever reason. The Basin's seemingly not going to help them. I can understand why to a certain extent. Because they can't move. That has to be a criteria. You can't move. But people make assumptions. And say things mostly out of anger, mostly out of hurt, which, I can understand. And people say things like they're just ludicrous. Ludicrous. What does it have to do with, what does it have to do with anything, about conversion? The fact that that Tel Aviv is the gay capital of the world. Who cares? What does it have to do with anything? Right? I just throw this out there. I just saw a statement that, with these fires in LA, that Jamie Lee Curtis, which whatever, right? Famous actress, said, look what happened in these fires, right? Similar to take a picture of Gaza. Take a look at Gaza. Really? You're going to make a comparison to people lost their houses, from a fire with 100-mile-an-hour winds, and that's the way it looks, comparing that to what Israel did to Gaza. Seriously? So why do I bring that up? Same thing. There's no connection whatsoever. None. One thing has nothing to do with another. Remember what happened October 7th? Oh, does that ring a bell? And most of the people killed, they were all terrorists. Well, how are they going to get in there? They had to bomb the place. How are they going to get in there? That's war. You want to compare that to forest fires, people losing their homes? Well, it's the same devastation. No connection. That's why, you take what these people say with a grain of salt, but that's insanity. So a person's, I understand a person's hurt and a person's upset and we can't move. I agree, right? Show more empathy, 100%. But that doesn't change anything. If you can't move, you can't convert. That's just the way it is. You got to live amongst the Jewish people. It's sad, but that's the way it is. But now you want to tell me you're doing so many more things than Jews and look at all the gays in Tel Aviv. That has nothing to do with anything. Nothing. They're going to pay the price, a serious price. And the Jewish people may pay a serious price in Israel or other places because of what they do. That's very true. That's very sad. That could happen. 100% that could happen. What does that have to do with your conversion? Just because they were born Jews. It has nothing to do with anything. Right? And so people make statements. I understand. People are upset. People are hurt. People deserve to be helped. I agree. 100%, I agree. But you got to understand the reality of the situation, right? Like this person says, come on, Jews are not working to draw non-Jews closer. You're right, because there's no reason we have to. There's no obligation for us to do it. Rabbi has a response of 8-9 pages, probably one of the longest ones he ever wrote. Exactly this question. Exactly this question. So, hey, makes sense. You're the Jewish chosen people. So what? If someone comes, they want to learn, you have an obligation to work with them. If you don't know how to work with them, you don't know what to do with them, send them to someone that can. But again, this attitude will come up because the person feels rejected. No one's helping them. It's very hard. The process is supposed to be hard. That's why only the few survive. It's supposed to be hard for a reason. We got enough problems with our own people. Yeah, plenty of problems that we have to deal with. Anyone coming in, either you're going to pull up your bootstraps and you're going to work hard to do it, whatever the rabbis tell you to do or not. Person has free choice, right? You want to have an easy conversion, go conservative, go reform, go liberal, right? There'll be more, probably more welcoming, but it doesn't mean anything. Most people understand that. It doesn't mean anything. They have a choice. Or don't convert. Don't convert, but you have to be in it for the long haul. And it's not an easy process. It's not supposed to be an easy process. Because if it's an easy process, it won't stick. If it's something you really have to fight for, like you really have to fight for and you have to prove yourself and whatever, and you have to jump through hoops to do it, that'll stick. And it should stick. Someone asked me, I get a lot of people ask me how many people actually convert, have a proper conversion, actually stay Jewish. How many people go off afterwards? I don't know what the stats are. I definitely don't know what the stats are, but I said that anyone I come in contact with right now, I have 100% track record. Now, the reason is, I think, because, most people, if they have difficulties, then they'll ask, what do I do about this? What do I do about that? You have someone guiding you, helping you along the process. You're not left to your own thing. And I'm not saying it's going to be 100% easy either, but at the same time, you have guidance. You feel like, someone's helping you along the way. If I didn't have my rabbis behind me years ago, be nowhere. Be like the blind leading the blind. I was born Jewish. Yeah, but they saved me in so many ways. So many ways. I owe them everything. Everything. I didn't do anything without them. And even their guidance, which was, great across the board. Yeah, across the board. Even with all the guidance, I didn't go out smelling like a rose. And many times I didn't. I got cursed, got yelled at, other things. Yeah. Right? Something's going to happen soon also. I mean, whatever, certain situation. There's not a good situation to be in, but what am I going to do? Right? I have to do what I need to do. Torah says X. Can't go against it. You want to try this, try that? Okay, make some sort of compromise, but for the most part, you can't. Right? Most part, you can't. So what's going to happen? All right, get slammed. 100% going to get slammed. So the only question is how much? Right? How much? It's not because they respect it. Of course, they don't respect it. So you're going to say, come on, you became an Orthodox Jew, look at all the problems. Yeah, there were a lot of problems. Some of them I caused myself. Very good. Saying even the ones I didn't. We're all given a hand. Imagine, you're playing poker. All you have is low cards, and you have no doubles of anything. You have no pairs. You have a 2, a 5, a 4, different suits. Can't do anything with it. You got garbage. Yeah. Sometimes that's the hand we've been dealt with, with families. Now, the only difference is, Jewish souls are on Mount Sinai. Parents are your parents. You have to respect them, to whatever level, etc. But it's a hard thing. It's, what a Baal Tshuva goes through, similar to what converts go through in many ways. right? In many ways. But I can tell you, I can tell you, having the Torah giant of this generation guide me and give me advice, do this, don't do that, whatever it was, and whatever the situation was. I can tell you by certain people, I can't even mention his name. Can't even mention his name. They're going to speak all kinds of Lashon Hara against it. He's a fanatic. He's this, he's that. Should have told you to do this, should have told you to do that. Can't even mention his name. Person I owe my life to. My life. My spiritual life, like a father, no question. No question. But, even at that level, got slammed. Slammed. So I can say, well, great advice you took from him. I didn't say that. I said, okay, these are the repercussions. I understand. They're not going to be easy. There could be serious repercussions. But what can I do? This is it. I wanted to ask him a question one late Thursday night. Thank God it didn't come to fruition, but I asked him a question. He said, oh, you saw what I wrote in my book over here? I said, yeah. He said, you saw my letters to the stipler of Rav Chaim Kanievsky's father. The stipler going. He said, you saw those letters? I said, yeah. He goes, is that why you're here? I said, yeah. so anyway, so he dealt with my question, and then, and that was it. But, thank God it didn't come to fruition. I had to do it, right? I had to know. I had to cover my bases, see what would happen, right? See what happened. But, there are situations you don't want to be in. But sometimes you have no choice. Like Ramosha Feinstein wrote 7, 8 volumes of Igros Moshe, the Torah giant, the last generation in America. And he was writing a whole bunch of way out cases, way out, far out cases, and all kinds of things when he was in Europe, when he was in Russia. Sorry, when he was in Russia. And Rabbanim laughed at him, what are you bringing up a case like this, a case like that? When he got to America, a lot of the cases came to fruition. 100% came to fruition. They thought it was you're making up this way out case. What happens if this happens and the other thing happens and they do this and they do that and whatever. They thought it was crazy. They're like, come on, this is never going to happen. This is 1 in a million, 1 in 10 million. Never going to happen. Almost every single one of them, there are cases. 100% he had cases. He had cases like that. Myers wrote 8 volumes of questions and answers. I think the first 3 came a lot of the questions from South Africa. Some crazy cases. Crazy cases. A woman comes, I'll give one example. A woman comes to him, and before he tells me the question, he says, listen, she's much more religious than you'll be in 10 lifetimes. I said, okay. Yeah, go ahead. Let's hear. So she says she comes to sell me her chametz. Right? 11 products before Passover. She comes to sell them. I said, okay, so what's the question? I said, it sounds pretty straightforward. People go to rabbis to sell their chametz. Okay. Yeah, before the holiday. Great. There's no allowed dry benefit from it. So whatever chametz you have left over, you have to sell it. Good. So I said, so what's the question? He said, she came and she wants to sell her chametz to her husband. I said, oh, so she's 10 times more religious than me, but she's married to a non-Jew. He goes, right. So I'm glad you get these questions. I said, normally if a person's married, you say ishto gegufo, husband and wife are one. He goes, not in this case, because they're intermarried. So I said, but she's 10 times more religious than me. He says, right. I said, but she's married to a non-Jew. He goes, right. I'm glad you get these questions. It's kind of a strange question someone's going to ask. You're going to sell your chametz, very good, but you're going to sell it to someone who's your husband. It's kind of a problem. Stands maybe, or you say, I'm going to sell it to my kid, right? That'd be different because the kid's Jewish, right? Let's say she converted. Great, I'll sell it to my kid. My kid's not a Jew, right? They didn't want to convert. I'll sell it to them, right? It gets a little more complicated, but they're you hear questions sometimes you can't make this stuff up. I'll give another example people have to deal with. And that is someone who's transgender. We'll keep this clean. Someone who's transgender, where do they pray? Which side of the mechitza? So what's the simple answer? Simple answer is no matter what you do, the way you were born, that's your status. If you're a guy, cross-dresser, Torah prohibition. Can't wear women's clothing. Women can't wear men's clothing. Very good. But it's a guy. So you can't pray with women. Can't pray on the same side as women. Doesn't matter how he's dressed. So someone told me a story. Someone came to the Western Wall and the separation. right? There's a men's side, there's a women's side. Very good. So a guy goes in dressed as a woman, right? He's going to the women's side. So there's a Moroccan police officer there or whatever, guard there. And this guy this guy dressed up as a woman starts going towards the women's side. This Moroccan guard says, wait a minute, you're a guy, you go over here. Like, no shtick. Like, no shtick at all. Like, you're a guy, doesn't matter, you go this side. That's it. Right? But yeah, these are new questions. These are new questions, crazy questions. Or what happened, someone had a sex change. They're religious, had a sex change. Let's say it's a story with a guy. I know of a story of a guy became a woman. And now he did tshuva. Now he repented. So what do you do with him now? What in the world do you do with him? Yeah, he's a woman, technically. Right? But as we hold, really he's a guy. Right? Regardless of what parts changed or whatever, he's still a guy. Right? It doesn't change. Right? So yeah, I would say these are more crazy questions. Right? But again, what's the bottom line here? The bottom line is we have an obligation to our own first. Doesn't mean people shouldn't be held. Doesn't mean that. I had somebody tell me they contacted, 4 rabbinical courts, 10 different rabbis. I was the only one that answered. Now, I don't know what it says about them or what it says about me. But if someone comes, they should be helped. 100%. But if someone's going to whimper and cry and be upset, say, well, they didn't get back to me. Oh, they didn't do this. They're going to be persistent. You don't want to be persistent. You feel bad. Don't convert. Don't convert. Nobody says you have an obligation, but you have to have thick skin. If you don't have thick skin, you won't make it through the process. You got to basically not care what anyone says. Right? Right? If a person of color, so I tell people you have 2 strikes against you. One, you want to convert, and one, that you're a person of color. You want to be part of the Jewish community. There could be discrimination. 100%. There could be. Not saying there should be. There could be. Nisim Black came to Israel. I never would have told him to come. He didn't ask me. Right? But he was he's living in a certain area, very, very religious area. He's having, many, many guests on Shabbos, couldn't get his kids in the school. Could not get his kids in the school. Now, if he lived in America, I wouldn't tell him to go to certain very strong communities either. Now you tell me, well, that's discrimination. Okay. But he still couldn't get his kids in the school. Whether you say discrimination or not, there are other ways, even against religious people. Some schools will say, we only want kids where the parents only learn. Father only learns, doesn't work. Those are a different type of discrimination. Yeah. So if people want to come, they want to go to strong Jewish communities, realize there will be people that will look at you funny. There will be people that will be discriminated against. I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying there's a reality. There is a reality. So if someone says, I don't care, I'm going to do it. Okay. But you have to be in for the long haul. Right? Can it be depressing? Can it be upsetting? Yes. It can be, 100%. So again, same thing. You don't have to convert. Nobody said you have to convert. Let me deal with some questions here. Isn't it a Jewish trait to discuss and argue because we have many viewpoints? Right. But also, even if there are different opinions, what do I have? Even if there are different opinions, I have different ramifications of the different opinions. Right? So in other words, it's not just people disagree. Okay. So if they disagree, are there any ramifications? Right? And there will be. Sometimes, even if they disagree, you could say, well, we can still hold according to this other opinion in this case or that case. Or you say, reject the opinion. We're just totally reject it. Right? But you're right. That's the whole point of learning, is you're discussing things from a lot of different vantage points. A lot of different vantage points for that reason. For whatever the ramifications may be. Creating the world, okay. Someone says you got to take responsibility for yourself, allow God to lead us. Okay, but one of the first things I wrote on my blog is that if anyone thinks they're going to get through this process by themselves, think again. It's a hard process. If you're on the outside looking and a person needs guidance, right? I don't think there's any question. It's not, it's like finding the right therapist, it's like finding the right car, right? Something like that. It has to match, Right? I always tell people my style is not necessary for everybody, but you want to come, you come at your own risk. So I tell people, I don't hold anything back. I have to answer to God and my Rabbi in that order. Like that's it. Right? But someone wants and whatever, they want guidance, good. Yeah, they want to go elsewhere. They can also go elsewhere. Not holding on to anybody. But I would say guidance is crucial. And it's even more crucial after conversion. When people get dropped like a hot potato, you need guidance along the way. Doesn't mean every last thing you have to ask. I'm not saying that. Right? But definitely need guidance what to do. Different things. Right? Everybody needs guidance. Even the greatest people need guidance. They want to answer questions necessarily on their own. It's not 100% sure. They'll ask other people's opinions. Some will, some won't. Depends. Right? But also need guidance. Everybody does. Anyone says they don't need guidance, they're they're in trouble. Or someone says, "Yeah, I'm okay. I don't need this. I'm good." Well, that's like saying I'm neutral like Switzerland. I'm happy being mediocre. No. You do things on your own. You'll pay the price. If it's something clear cut, I'm talking about something that's not clear cut. I learned along the way. Made mistakes along the way. Right? No question. No question. But even when I listened, the only question was, how hard are you going to get hit upside the head? That was the only question. Damage control. That's it. It's not pleasant. Not going to say it was pleasant. I'm used to it now. Yeah. I've been used to it for years. So things I have to say and, stick my foot down, I will. Other things, I'm not even going to bother. Unless I absolutely have to. If I don't have to, there's no point. Because no one's listening anyway. So you move on. It's painful, but okay. You want to keep peace, that's what you got to do. But, at the same time, decisions that were made, even trying to bend Jewish law as much as possible to try and, not make a stink or whatever and make people feel bad, still lost. So I gave up a long time ago. Long time ago, I gave up. That's what I need to do. And the repercussions, whatever they are. Do my best not to ruffle feathers, but it's kind of hard. I'm good at that. Right? Why do I say it's hard? Because people have an agenda. They don't want to hear anything. They don't want to hear you're different. They'll say, well, you're different, you change. Okay, but this is the reality. These are things I can do, these are things I can't do. You want to come see me? Great. These are these, you can do it this time or that time. Right? If that's the only time, you can do it this time or that time. That's it. I can't be more flexible. There's no possible way to be more flexible. Okay, you're stubborn, you're this, you don't care, it has nothing to do with anything. You believe in God, these are the laws, this is what I can do. Torah's not silly putty. Well, technically it's not your problem, you're not doing anything. Yeah, but there are issues. Everyone's got Gemara come. Everyone's got Gemara on their head. Like everyone comes up with all these things like, oh, but you can do like this. Oh, you can do like that. Really? Study the subject? Tell me. But someone's told me, I was walking back once from my parents' synagogue. I was like a good couple of miles. So, obviously all these Jews are like, gonna offer a ride on Shabbos or a festival. They're like, but you're doing more work than me. And I'm just driving a car. That's not what work is. It has nothing to do with what work is. You're working much harder. Right? But that's not the issue. That's just the crazy definition of what you think work is. But that's not what, the laws of Shabbos, that's how they'll say what, melacha means work. Yeah, it means work, literally. Yeah, but what, if I wanted to, which I wouldn't, but if I wanted to, I could take my sofas and move them all across my living room on Shabbos. At night, during the day, not for exercise. Yeah, end up working up a sweat. I could do that. I go against Kaufman's 615th commandment, don't be a moron. But you can do it. 100% you can do it. Oh, is that a lot of work? Yeah. It's not forbidden. That's totally not forbidden. So it's about definition. Oh, come on. It's a made up thing. What do I hear? Not so often now, but what I used to hear, people do what they want. I don't know. This rabbi says this, the rabbi says that. Right? Like we said before. Listen, there are, certain things might be different opinions. But okay. Why can't you hold according to that opinion? Because I don't. I didn't ask that person. I asked somebody else. So you can say maybe he got burnt in certain ways, maybe. It doesn't matter. I didn't pick and choose who I asked my questions to. That's why I told somebody, very well-respected rabbi here in Israel, and when it came to voting, right, voting elections, right, and says, but this great rabbi said this, and this great rabbi said you got to vote or whatever. I didn't have a merit to vote at that time, so I said, you know what? I said, you hold everything that this rabbi said, everything. I'm not talking. They're Torah giants, right? I'm talking about Torah giants here. So I said, you hold everything that they say, or you pick and choose? I said, I don't pick and choose. I take the stringencies with the leniencies. Whatever he tells me to do. This, yes. No, this, no. Whatever. Whatever he tells me to do. He says, all right, good point. Right, that was it. So I took the stringencies with the leniencies. I'm not saying I came out smelling like a rose. Not at all. But that's it. He was my authority. I went to him, still go to him. He should be well. But, I got certain questions I can ask him. I know exactly what he's going to say. I know exactly what he's going to say, and I can't help the situation. So, I'm just waiting for the frying pan. It's got to come at some point, right? So I got my answers ready, but not going to help, right? So he's saying, you gave up your life, look what you did for Torah and this and that, and you get slammed. Okay, it's part of the test. It's part of the test, but it doesn't even affect me anymore. People are going to say all kinds of things. Oh, that's crazy. It's this, it's that. All right. Last time I was in the States, a couple of years ago, someone made a pretty nasty comment. I know where they were coming from, but just moved on. Moved on. No point. There's no point. So even if you're sticking up for Torah mitzvahs, you never lose. But who says it's easy? But you got to be strong. 100%. You got to be strong. And if you're not strong and you're a creep puff, you're in the wrong path. You're in the wrong path. You got to be strong as fire. I told my Rabbi once when I was in South America, different things happened. I said, you made me way too strong. He said, yeah, how have I? Really, it should be true. It really should be true. But stick up for Torah, you don't lose. But you got to be strong. You got to be strong. Along the way. Someone says, wow, where I'm trying to convert, there was a married couple, they converted the woman, but the man they kept rejecting until he committed suicide. Oh. Someone points out exactly what I was going to say. Maybe he would have committed suicide anyway. So that's not a proof. That's not necessarily a proof for that, right? Could be a person was okay, was very despondent, but he could have committed suicide anyway, right? Who says it's only because of that? Most people commit suicide have some sort of mental health issue, right? Not just one thing, right? This could have put him over the edge. Could have, very well could have. They felt, rejected, despondent, it's tragedy. It's tragedy, but I would bet all the money I don't have that wasn't the only reason. Maybe that was the final straw, maybe. But that wasn't the reason. I can't imagine that was the reason. That was the only reason someone did it. There are people very committed, very passionate, want to convert, whatever, and they feel they just get beaten down in life and okay, that's a little extreme. I can understand you don't convert. I can understand, okay, then you got a problem because the woman converted, right? But they wouldn't convert him, so that's a problem, right? It's a problem for her to be with him because she's now married to a non-Jew. That's a problem. So that could have added to more frustration, other things. I get, but again, I find it very hard to believe that was the only reason. Probably, a number of reasons. Even if that was the final blow, the rabbinical court does not have blood on their hands. They 100% don't have blood on their hands, right? Unless they made it so impossible that it caused the person to, that was the only reason. The person got so despondent, whatever. That I could hear if that was the only thing. But I find it hard to believe that was the only thing. And even if they made it very hard for him, even if they made it very hard for him and that put him over the deep end, it's still not their fault, right? They wouldn't be liable for that. It doesn't make sense to be liable to that. Someone here says on everything, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Playing ping pong, everyone's telling me to do this, someone's telling me to do that. Okay. Does anyone care about Hashem? Let me tell you the truth. The truth is, you can't worry what someone's going to answer. Meaning, God is going to deal with everybody. So if people are doing the wrong thing, let's make very clear, they will be dealt with. But you say, I'm the recipient, I am paying the price. Okay. If what they're doing is wrong, they'll pay the price. They will pay the price. But at the end of the day, you got to put your best foot forward and just do whatever it takes. Just do whatever it takes. They end up playing you like ping pong. Right? Maybe it's just a way to try and break you. Okay. Again, I'm not saying it's necessarily right. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. But I would tell you in general, what other people think and say doesn't matter. Right? You get that famous hat, it says, go eat kugel. So you got to be strong, though. You have to be strong. Right? Some places, I would say, are almost impossible to convert. Right? I know a few of them that, yeah, I would tell people to move. Just get out of that place, go somewhere else, if possible. Because jumping through the hurdles, you won't be able to do. I'm not saying in your case, I'm just saying in general. Right? I know of a few places. I know of a few places like that. But, again, at the end of the day, you got to understand why you're in the process, what you want to do, and you got to go out and do it. You got to say, but they're making life very hard. They're making life almost impossible. Okay. So if they're doing it, which is wrong, right? Let's say they are going to pay the price, but you still have to go through the process. And at the end of the day, so this is an interesting question. At the end of the day, a person gets broken by it, they don't convert. Yeah, are they liable? Are they liable? If God saw they could have converted, they're going to say, come on, how much pain do you have to take? So I can't answer that. I can't answer how much a person has to go through. What I can answer is, there are stories of rabbinical courts made life so hard that people ended up converting, but it left a bad taste in their mouth. Or they ended up converting and they became much more modern because of it. Because it was just, they made it way too hard. Right? So they'll be liable for that if they didn't do it within the right parameters. Now, some people look at it one way, but it's not the case. And really, the rabbinical court is doing what they need to do. And they're doing things in the right way. But they look at it as being, we're discriminated against. They took other people, it wasn't fair, this and that. They have reason to do what they do. If it's haphazard and people are paid off, that's a problem. I agree. I'm not talking about a case like that. Right? That can happen. That can also happen. Right? People in power of authority, yeah, they can squeeze people. You have to go through me. It's my way, the highway. Yeah, it's a problem. In some way. If you do what you need to do, you get through it. Good. They seem to make it impossible, then either you gotta try and move or you gotta wait it out. That's just what you gotta do. You don't want to do it. You're broken by it. So good. There is a good question. If a person got broken by it, they don't do it, what's the end result? Right? Who's guilty? Right? Who's guilty? A lot of questions I missed here. Okay, I'll ask, who is Nicholas Krasniki? I have no idea, right? No idea. Yeah, so I'm not gonna bother with that because we're not coming to Earth. Yeah, okay. Let me see. Oops, 1 second. Um, Someone asked, 1 second. Once people convert, they are granted Jewish status. Why temporarily? Why they? Someone converts, they're a Jew. There are certain limitations we mentioned many times. There are limitations, certain limitations based on technicalities. But if a person converts the proper conversion, they're Jewish. No limitation, right? They have to live in the community for a year. They want the rabbinical court want them to live in the community for a year. Okay, doesn't mean they're not Jewish. Doesn't mean it's only temporary. Why should it be temporary? Shouldn't be. Someone asked, can you get in a Christian or Muslim's car on Shabbos and have them drive off? Well, if you're a non-Jew, it doesn't matter. If you're a Jew, that depends. That would depend why you're doing it. If you get a non-Jew to drive, you go there to save someone's life, you can drive yourself, save someone's life. Right? You do whatever it takes to save someone's life. If it's not the case, then they drive you to synagogue, let's say. That's the only way they can get to synagogue. They shouldn't go to synagogue. Even if they're a guy, they shouldn't go to synagogue. Right? In other words, you can't break Shabbos, go to synagogue. If you're a Jew. No matter how important it is, you think, to pray with 10 men and be there on Shabbos, great. But if you can't get there, then why would it help to have a non-Jew drive? You say, well, for them it's permissible. For you, maybe it'd be okay. Maybe. Maybe in some cases it'd be all right, but why would you do it? Why in general would you do it? If it's for saving a life, you can drive yourself. If it's not saving a life, just going to synagogue, who says you should do it? Right? For a Jew to be driven by a non-Jew to go to synagogue, they want to say Kaddish. They want to say the mourner's prayer. They have a yard site, right? Commemoration of someone they're obligated to mourn for. Mother, father, sister, brother, spouse, God forbid, a child. Yeah. Is that enough of a mitzvah to have a non-Jew drive them? I don't think so. Definitely not. Because again, the Torah obligation to pray is like, if I say, thank God, I fulfilled my Torah obligation. Everything else, is rabbinical. I'm not coming to make fun of, rabbinic laws, right? What I pray, when I pray, how I pray, different things. But, who says I can desecrate Shabbos for that? Right? But that's the only way to do it. But you don't do it. Better in God's eyes, you don't do it, then do that. It doesn't matter, if it's a Christian or a Muslim, right? It's because they're a pagan or whatever, right? And that's not going to matter. That's not going to matter unless, maybe you're worried they're going to kill you or injure you or whatever. But like in general, it could be any non-Jew. It could be an atheist, right? Have an atheist drive you. What's the difference? What would be the difference? Yeah. We're in Impossible Plays. I'm not going to mention that live. What I mentioned is definitely, do some research for during the location, right? Right. Sometimes, a person could do the research and then something else happened, right? Before you set out to move, you better do the research. Try and do the research as best you can, right? Before you make the move, because then you don't want to get stuck. Right? You definitely don't want to get stuck. People really reflect what we need to work on. They should. Every day we should be taking what's the word? Self-accounting. What we did during the day. How I prayed, how I made blessings, how interacted with others. You should. How many people do? I'm not answering that. I don't know. And take a survey. People should. Definitely people should. How does a person grow spiritually if you don't? Problem is, we're too busy. We're too busy. We're busy running here, running there, doing this, doing that. We don't have time to think. Work of the evil inclination. Made everything so easy today. You gotta remember, like washing clothes is like an all-day affair. You had to take a scrubbing board, had to go to the ocean, this, that. Right here, it's very easy. Just take the washing machine, take it out, put it in the dryer, hang it up, whatever it is. Very simple, but we're still, even with all the gadgets, still busy. Running this, that, we're busy, right? People are busy wasting time also, but, let's say they got a legitimate excuse. They're busy. They're legitimately busy. Okay. Still gonna take some time. You should take some time, a little bit of time every day. Think about what you're doing. 100%. How many people do it? I can't answer that, right? I'm telling you what people should do. What our obligation really is to see where we're really holding. Somebody asks, what is penalty for stealing someone's tefillin? Are the sins modified each time I'm able to don my tefillin? Let's put it like this: anytime a person steals something, person stole a lulav, right? They come to synagogue on Sukkot. They shake it like this, they shake it like that. They have all the intention, of Kabbalah. They don't get the mitzvah at all. No mitzvah whatsoever. It's called mitzvah ba'avera. It's when you do the mitzvah, you're transgressing at the same time. Torah prohibition. You don't get the mitzvah, blessings in vain across the board. Across the board. So what is what's the penalty? I think it's lashes. I think that would be the penalty. It's not death penalty. It's for sure not death penalty. It's probably lashes, rabbinic lashes, right? That's what it would be. But you don't get the mitzvah. In either case, you don't get the mitzvah, right? If a person stole someone's wheat, ground it up in the flour, made it into bread, made the blessing of motzi lechem min haaretz, right? The Gemara says it's disgusting in God's eyes. Disgusting in God's eyes. You stole one thing, you made it something else. Now you're praising God for something you stole it. Yeah. All the sins modified each time unable to don my tefillin. If you can't do it, you can't do it. What happens if a person can't have children? There's a mitzvah to have kids. But there are people in the world that never had kids. Not because they didn't try. They didn't have kids. They couldn't have kids. So what do you do in such a situation? Well, what some people would do is, maybe do, fertility treatments, different things. Let's say that doesn't work. So some people will adopt. Not everyone will do that. Maybe some will adopt. Okay. But you didn't do the mitzvah. So I know someone, whatever, was married, his wife couldn't have kids. And he said, should I get divorced? I said, no. I said, is the marriage going okay? They said, yeah. I said that I wouldn't get divorced. But I really want to have kids. I said, they'll get divorced. But I want to divorce my wife. I said, you can't have it both ways. I said, it's not okay, so you didn't have kids. I understand. It's tragic, it's sad, whatever. But you didn't have kids. So if you didn't have kids, the mitzvah you didn't do. Torah says you gotta be fruitful and multiply, even by non-Jews, right? Because non-Jews have to populate the world, right? You have to have people in the world, otherwise the world can't function. So it's like a mitzvah you didn't do. Not wearing tefillin. If a person never wore tefillin in their, any day in their lives, okay, that's a different issue. Much more severe. Much more severe, right? But I would say, as Rabbi Yonah says in Gate of Repentance, any positive command a person does not do, there's no positive command that's not dependent on resurrection of the dead. It's a severe thing if you didn't do it. Not that you were under onus. If you were under onus, beyond your control, you're sick, 2 days, you can't get out of bed. You're so sick you can't even put on tefillin. You're exempt. There's no repentance even you have to do. Because there's no possible way you could have done it. No possible way. So if you're not able to do it, you didn't do it. Right? If a Jew didn't do it his entire life, yeah, that's a different issue. That's more severe. That's definitely more severe. And what a person only did it once in their life, it's also pretty severe. It's also pretty severe. But a person didn't do it once in a while because, whatever reason, okay. Right? It's not good. 100% it's not good, but it's a lot worse. It's a lot worse if you never did it. Or you only did it like once in a blue moon. That's definitely much worse. Someone asks, does it make sense? I feel different when eating purely kosher. Or is it placebo effect? It's placebo effect. According to, even if according to, what's it called? According to modern medicine, there's no proof whatsoever we are what we eat. Right? There's no proof at all. Doesn't mean it's not true. But that only affects the Jew, not a non-Jew. So what if a person feels really spiritually uplifted by what they eat and everything they eat is kosher? Okay, they can feel it, but it's not, it's not the mitzvah they're getting. Right? The same thing, like, this woman wants to wear a tallis. So the rabbi says, okay, here's a tallis you can wear. She comes back 2 weeks later, she's like, I want to thank you. You don't understand how much better it made me feel. Yeah, so much more intense. She goes, I know what you're talking about. I said, no, he gave me this prayer shawl, this tallis. He said, oh, that? No, it's not even a tallis. So what do you mean? So I cut off one of the strings, made it invalid. So it's like wearing like an oversized towel with strings. He's like, what do you mean? He said, I told you. I just, I'll show you. You see this part over here? I cut it off. It's not on the other strings. I cut it off, so it's not even a tallis. Doesn't have the status of a tallis. Can't use it, right? But you want to wear it, so I gave you this one. It's not a valid tallis. So this woman says, but what did I feel? I felt so much connection to God. Says, I don't know what you felt. It's not the power of the mitzvah. It cannot be the power of the mitzvah. So it's like, why not? Because you didn't do the mitzvah. Right? A person felt unbelievable spirituality. A guy wearing tefillin, let's say. But the tefillin were puzzled. Tefillin were no good. So you're going to say, but what did they feel? I don't know. But they didn't feel the power of the mitzvah. They definitely didn't feel the power of the mitzvah because they didn't get the mitzvah. Because the tefillin themselves are invalid. Right? But you say, but I felt something. Okay. But it can't be from the mitzvah because you didn't do it. So yeah, I would say the placebo effect. Why is pig considered an abomination? Pig is the only animal, right, that has split hooves but does not chew its cud, right, or vice versa, or chews its cud doesn't split hooves, whatever it is. So people think eating pig is worse. It's like the worst thing you can do. First of all, anything you're not allowed to eat is an abomination, right? It's an abomination to God for a Jew. It has an effect on us. Is a pig any worse than eating camel? Shouldn't be. Right? We look at it as being worse. I'm not sure why. I'm not sure why that should be. Eating an insect, a full insect, one full bug, it's 5 or 6 times worse than eating pig. Because there are different verses, creepy crawly things, and things that fly. So there are 5 or 6 prohibitions in one shot. Right? That I can understand. I got verses against it. Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know. It could be something deeper. We'll look into it more. It could be something deeper. Why people, why it's considered worse could be because it shows one kosher sign. It says, I'm really kosher, but they're not. Right? That could be one reason. But in general, eating a bug is worse. Much worse. If it's a full bug, if it's intact, much worse. Do we have to put our clothes in the mikveh after we purchase them? No. It's only buy something you would eat from. Right? Something that food comes in contact with. Right? So dishes, plates, pots, pans, cups. If you have a food processor like the metal, it's got to be from metal, not from plastic. Right? But clothing, no. Clothing does not have to be. Go to the mikveh. Will we reproduce after resurrection of the dead? Not that I know of. Shouldn't be any procreation. I don't know. Some say, that it's not going to be much difference between this world and that world after resurrection. Don't know. As my Rabbi, this is going to be a different type of body. What type of body? We don't know. I asked him about it a number of times. He says, I never met anyone been in that world to come back. So he says, no idea. He probably knows, but he wouldn't tell me. Right? But what type of body is it? Could function like it does today, but it's not going to. We're not going to have any desires. We're going to do God's will. So, if it's like the Rambam says, it's not going to be that much different, and we eat and drink and do other things. Could be, but I don't think so. I don't think that far. I don't think we go that far. Someone says it's our woman's prayer shawl. I thought it was silly. Yeah. Listen, they mean well. I think. I think some of them mean well. But they want to have a closer connection to spirituality, but they want to be like a guy, which is a problem because the blessing they make in the morning is, I'm created according to your will. Not that I'm created, I should be a guy. We say, thank God I'm not a woman because it has to do with mitzvahs. Women don't have as many mitzvahs, right? Or thank God I'm not a slave, same thing. They don't have as many mitzvahs. So women say, thank God I'm not a man. Okay. We don't say, they say, thank God I'm created in your image. Being created in God's image, I think, is a lot better than saying, I wish I was a man. Right? And a lot of women out there, regret that they're women. They want to be equal to men. Well, in Judaism, it's not a question about being equal. It's different. Different responsibilities, as we mentioned many times. Someone says, film was placed on my head by a Jew that fled Europe and Argentina. Okay, went to Argentina. Interesting. Okay. I don't know what effect it had, but, there's a story of a caretaker taking care of whatever, old Jewish man, and she once saw him, I guess, wrapped in tefillin, like, I guess deep in prayer or whatever. So one day they see this woman, like, trying to put on these tefillin. It's like, yeah, I had this major headache or whatever. So I saw, this person put on and made him, look so holy. So I figured it would help my headache also. I don't know if that's the exact story, whatever, like, something similar. So yeah, it shouldn't have any effect. Shouldn't have any effect. It's not something you would forget. Okay. Question is, does it have does it have an effect? But if they don't, if the mitzvah doesn't apply to them, then it shouldn't have any effect. It shouldn't have any effect on it. Are children going to be born at the time of Mashiach? I don't think so. I don't think so. I think it's going to be a very different world. And those desires not going to be in the world anymore. And we'll all be doing God's will. You can do God's will and do that also, but we're not going to have desires. We're all going to be doing God's will. So we're not going to be an evil inclination. You need an evil inclination for that. Right? You need that. Sorry, you need whatever. You need that inclination for that. So we're not going to have that inclination. Seemingly. So you want to ask me? I'm not sure. Right? I would say no. I would say no. Yeah. Any other? Okay, someone wants to say everything out because they were prophesied by Yeshua. Very good. Somebody asks, oops. Somebody asks, 1 second, I can't see the question. Yeah, is Donald Trump second coming of Hitler? I don't think so. I think he's going to clean up the world, I hope. Hope he's going to do a lot of good things. Yeah, see how, yeah, people make him out to be that, but I don't know, it's kind of funny. He's got he's got a daughter that converted to Judaism. It's very hard to say he's going to be Hitler. I mean, people make these statements. It's say all kinds of things about him. People say what they want about his character trait. His character traits. He's not a choir boy by any stretch. The question is, he's good for the job. That's the question. Nobody cares. Who cares what he does? Who cares what his personal preferences are and other things? Nobody cares, right? Yeah, that's not why someone should vote for him or not vote for him. The question is he best for the job? If he's not best for the job, then don't vote for him. If he's best for the job, what do I care? Everyone's got shortcomings. Some people have more. Okay, I would agree. Very good. But it's kind of hard to say he's going to commit mass genocide. He's being exactly like him when he's got so many people in his cabinet, pro-Israel and pro-Jewish. Like, very hard to say. But yeah, he said about Biden, they put you in jail for saying that. That's already like, person's already going to claim for like annihilation, right? But yeah, they vilified him like no tomorrow. I don't think he's a choir boy. I don't think he's a quiet boy by any stretch, right? He's very flawed character traits, 100%. But that's not the question here. The question is, he's best for the job, right? So 2020 they voted him out only because they voted for Biden more because they hated him. Okay, and why did he win so well? and so strong is the economy. Another thing. As much as they hate them, guess what? When you can't go to the grocery store and you're suffering financially, that's what normally knocks presidents out. Usually. Yeah, we're gonna wind this up. Any other questions? So time of resurrection, we lose our free choice. When the Messiah comes, we lose free choice. That's why I can't convert. Better convert before the Messiah comes. Right? We won't have free choice. 100% we won't have free choice. Because the evil inclination gets slaughtered. So if the evil inclination gets slaughtered, no free choice. So at that time, by resurrection of the dead, also you'll be doing God's will. We won't have free choice. Someone says, Rashi says, somewhere non-Jews lived in Canaan before it became Israel. We're aware of the holiness of the Temple Mount. Why is it so special? Because that's where God's place is. What's on the Temple Mount? What's part of the Temple Mount? The Holy of Holies. Holiest place in the world. That's why I can't walk up there as a Jew. Right? Even if people say we know where to go, whatever, still you get spiritually cut off. You don't step in the right place, but it's the holiest place. Because that's where the Holy of Holies is. It's where the Ark of the Covenant is underneath, somewhere. Right? That's where it is. That's where the Holy of Holies is. That's why it's so special. It's oil of oregano kosher. Should be. There's only oil from it. Right? But I would say anything you're going to get from spices and oil should have rabbinic supervision. Can't go buy ingredients in general. Yeah, I'm gonna stop here. I do this every Tuesday and Thursday. 10 o'clock Eastern time, 5 o'clock Israel time. Anyone has any questions, find me on Facebook at Mike Chaim Kaufman, Beyond Orthodox Conversion Judaism, orthodoxconversion.com. And there I got Beyond Orthodox Conversion Judaism on YouTube. There I got videos on Q&As, Ethics for Our Fathers, Book of Leviticus. Want to send me an email, rabbichaimkaufman@gmail.com, RBBICHIMCOFFMAN @gmail.com. Wish everyone a good beginning of the day, middle of the day,